How's it going, everyone? Nate here with Responsible Armed Korean. I'm out of the range to check out the Modular Glock sights by Strike Industries. Check these things out. We're going to run a quick warm-up drill, and then we'll talk about some of the pros and cons and how they actually feel to use. Check it out. Okay, let's talk about these sights. Got my Glock G45 Gen5 pistol here. I'm going to show you that it's empty, no magazine, and we're going to do a chamber check. Nothing in the chamber. All right. So we're out here talking about the Strike Industry modular blade sights. So the first thing I want to talk about, we're going to talk about construction or durability. We're going to talk about practicality or how it actually is to use them, and then we're going to give it a racket score of overall what we thought. All right, so we've run a bunch of different drills. So the first thing you always think about with sights is, are they durable? How are they constructed? One of the big complaints about Glocks, even up to the Gen 5, is that most of the models come plastic sights from the factory. It's one of the first things that a lot of Glock owners change out because they know that that plastic is known to crack at the range or fly off. I've had people who have their front sight fly off at the range. So generally people start to look for metal sights. So the first thing with these, Strike Industries, they are steel construction, okay? Steel rear, steel front. There's a couple of options, right, when it comes to finding Glock sights. A lot of people tend to move towards the tritium. You can get those factory from Glock, or they'll buy like a Trijicon aftermarket sights. Some people prefer to have the fiber optic. Now there is of course a hybrid. There's like a TFO set that you can get through TrueGlow that has both tritium and fiber optic, but some people prefer one or the other. So there are a few options out there for fiber optic, and Strike Industries has kind of entered that market with these. And the front is a light gathering blade, and it comes with 4 different colors. There's red, green, black solid, and white solid. All right, so I've got the red ones installed on this. I'm going to show you. Again, the gun's empty. Let me show you these sights. You can see, I'm trying to keep my head out of the way here. You can see how they look in the sunlight. See, it's picking it up there. Okay. But it is actually just a blade, if you can see that. All right. It's just a blade right there. And what this allows is you get a really interesting sight picture where you've got this kind of straight blade of color with a blacked out rear. It works really well. I will say that during the drills that I was running, it's very easy to pick up in both sunlight and in overcast skies, because I did shoot it on a rainy day as well. So construction-wise, it's solid. I did rapid shooting. I did a couple of draws. Nothing is loose. The rear sight does have a set screw right in the middle, right there to help keep it in. But when I was changing these sights out, it's plenty tight as is. I don't think you have to worry about these flying off. They are very solid in construction. So now let's move on to practicality. What do they like to actually use? Well, like I said, with running the drills, one of the things you start to test, especially if we're talking about from a practical standpoint on sights, is how quickly can I get them up and spot them, and how accurate am I when I'm using them? So I'm happy to say that throughout the drills I was running, they're very quick to see. That red front blade for me pops up very quickly, and it's easy to discern between the black rear sight. So even in overcast, even when I'm drawing quickly or from concealment, it's very easy to pick up the sight, very easy to get it on target very quickly. So from a practicality standpoint, these are great. Design-wise, from a practical standpoint, I do like it that it is squared off, meaning that you can use this on like the edge of your belt or on a table or what have you if for some reason you needed to manipulate the firearm one-handed. Some of the firearms out there come with slanted fronts and whatnot, are not useful that way. Now Glock, most of the sights that come are squared off in the front, so you can use the sight as a slide manipulation, and these are no exception. Another thing about practicality, these are actually a little bit taller than standard Glock sights. They're not quite suppressor height, but they are a little bit taller. And for me, I find that to be more comfortable in terms of picking up your sights quickly as it comes up. The taller they are, it's a little bit easier to spot over the top of the weapon. So I do like it that they are a little bit taller than standard sights. For me, that works really, really well. Last thing we're going to talk about is budget. You know, one of the things we look at is when we talk about a budget anything is it a budget item because it's cheap, or is it a budget item because it's inexpensive? I will definitely say with the Strike Industries blade sights, they are budget and they are inexpensive, but they are not cheap. Again, looking at the fact that they're steel construction, at how well the front blade does gather light from both the top and the front of the sight, or sorry, excuse me, the rear of the sight, the part that's facing you. It's really easy to pick up sunlight even in overcast skies, which makes it easy to use in lots of different conditions. Now, of course, they're not tritium, which means if you're using it in real low light, it is not going to glow for you, but it does help. It does decently pick up ambient light in overcast skies and sunlight. So let's talk about the racket score. Now, one of the things about my channel, you know, I am coming from a responsible civilian standpoint, but I always like to bring it back to practicality. You know, I love competition. I love that kind of stuff. I love shooting competition, but ultimately for me, I tend to gear everything towards practicality. So what is this like from the standpoint of an everyday carry pistol? So I assign what I call the racket score, and it could be from 1 to 5, with 1 being the lowest and 5 being they're just absolutely awesome. And I would put these at a solid 4. Now, the only thing I'm dinging them for is that the front blade, I did have to bend it just a little bit because there was a gap between the black parts of the front blade and the actual colored part. So I used I used pliers just to bend that metal together so that it was flush with the blade. So you know what, that could be a quality control issue either way. I'm just gonna give it a 4 out of 5, which in my book is good to excellent. And I would highly recommend these for a carry pistol option if you're looking for something besides tritium and you want to go with like a fiber style sight. Again, Nate with Responsible Armed Korean here. Thanks for watching.